What should you do if you are around 60 and have little or nothing saved for retirement? In this video, I will give you AI's top 9 recommendations on what really works for you, or you should at least consider. Welcome, my name is Daniel, founder of McCluskey Financial, and first and foremost is if you're getting a late start, that's okay. Even AI stresses that you know you're not alone and to accept where you are without shame. Over 45% of Americans age 60 plus have less than $100,000 saved. And if your goal is to change that for your future or your retirement, dwelling on the past isn't going to help. So keep it simple, forget the past, focus on the future. Maybe before you were focused on just trying to make ends meet, paying for your kids' college. Now, maybe you don't have those expenses and it's time to make a game plan to move forward. Number 2, and you'll notice directly from AI, a robot, still, we're not directly talking about finances. And that is to protect your health like it's your retirement account. Given that you are starting to save later, you can imagine the money that you are saving, you're going to need to be very protective of. Your health should actually be treated the same way. And not only for the obvious benefits, but also for the future financial benefits. Healthier people are much more likely to have less money that has to go towards expenses related to health. So even doing something as simple as walking daily, eating clean, maybe it's making a goal to hit 10,000 steps a day. Again, keeping it simple, keeping it something that you can stick to. This can actually go a long way. Number 3, and now we're getting down to business, create a game plan. I like to use a very simple, very clear 3-step system. You can call it the GPS approach. That is first to determine where are we at now, second to determine where are we trying to go, and then third, how do we get there? So to keep things very simple, when you're going through these 3 steps, starting with where you're at now, of course, that's going to mean creating a budget. There's plenty of different apps and softwares out there. Me personally, I just like to use a basic Google Sheets or Excel spreadsheet. I group things into categories. I keep it to about 4 or 5 things. I got my rent, I got my utilities, I got my miscellaneous, I got food and groceries. I got that predictable number. That's where we're at now. The second step is where we're trying to go. And if you're in this situation, likely you're going to want to try and get those expenses down. So you can just predict, how do we get those expenses a little bit lower than they are currently to make the saving piece a little less strenuous on us? And third is just how will we get there? How can we combine our future Social Security with money that we save to equal the total amount of income that we need? Number 4, delay Social Security if you can. Given you're going to be continuing to work and likely continuing to put some of that money into some sort of savings vehicle, delaying Social Security can actually allow that benefit to continue to grow each and every year you continue to delay until age 70. So claiming at age 70 versus 62, you can see there's about a 77% potential increase just in waiting. And in determining how we're going to get there using that simple GPS approach from the last slide, this can really help cover a significant portion, if not all, of those expenses we outlined previously. Number 5, earn income. Your ability to earn income is going to be one of your greatest assets at this point. For people who have a lot more savings, it's the money that sometimes is going to be able to earn more money than they actually are if they have, let's say, north of $1 million. For you, since you're not at that stage, which is totally okay, your greatest asset is your ability to produce more income. So whether that's going to be applying for higher paying jobs, which sometimes may be more difficult given your age, you can also work on side gigs. So whether it's mowing lawns for people, doing some sort of babysitting, dog walking, caregiving, all of these little means to produce extra income, these are going to make a large difference in the long run. Hey, and real quick, if this is helpful, click the like button and let me know. Number 6, eliminate all unnecessary expenses ruthlessly. There's a quote here from George Clason that says that what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes, unless we protest to the contrary. And I got this quote from a video from Financial Fastlane. I'll link that down below. But to illustrate the extent that this can be taken, I want to tell a quick story. So my grandfather, he served in the US Army from 1953 to 54. He was married in 56, and he started out working in a small family business. He went from there to working at a local Catholic shrine site, from there to local politics, and then finished his career working in the region's industrial sector, trying to foster economic growth. All very unflashy jobs. His wife, my grandmother, never worked, and they raised 9 kids. And that can almost solely be attributed not to their high income, but to their habits to be able to save and cut unnecessary expenses so they can provide for this family. When it really comes down to it, if you've got to make it work, you're going to find a way. And one of the best ways to do that is developing those habits especially to cut expenses. For example, when we used to visit him in his later years at the nursing care facility, he almost always had a half-eaten bag of Famous Amos cookies sitting in a little pocket, shirt pocket, just like this, because if he didn't finish the bag, he wasn't throwing it away, he was going to save it for later. When he would order, if there was something on the menu, let's say it was burgers and fries, for example, he'd say, I'll have a burger and I'll have 9 French fries. The reason being was because he didn't want to waste one. And it's those habits that stack and stack over time. And it's going to help you, especially in the situation you're in. Instead of just trying to raise your income, when you cut expenses, it's also going to expedite the process to get you to where you need to be. Number 7, create a basic emergency fund. We're going to keep this really simple, straight from AI. Even $1,000 to $5,000 in cash can prevent a small emergency from becoming a disaster and avoid credit cards like the plague. Number 8, catch momentum. It's everything. And I love this one because it's so true. Just focusing on the basics, not getting distracted by new tricks to earn a bunch of money or cut expenses below what's even possible, but just building on the super small things. How can I get a job? How can I slowly increase that income? How can I track my expenses? How can I slowly decrease that? And just catching some momentum and going with it. That is how you're going to be able to turn things around and make this successful. Not getting distracted, just focusing, building some momentum, and keeping it going. Number 9, this is from AI, and I would argue the most important, that is to pray and stay close to what matters most. I put here, I would like to use the analogy, think of what Saint Joseph, the earthly father of Christ, was able to provide for the birth of God. A stable with animals in it. It wasn't much. Imagine how much of a struggle that might have been, how humiliating it might have been. And still, he pressed forward. So the situation that you're in with almost 45% of people ages 60 plus with less than 100,000, don't be ashamed. Pray, stay close to Christ, and he will provide. If you're within 10 years of retirement in the US and you're beat up, there's so many different things you could do, but you just lack clarity, subscribe. I release videos for you twice a week on how to prepare for that peacefully.